You are listening to the Citizen Journalist Network, a presentation of SDC News. 1. Thank each and every one of you for your contributions to uplift our voices. The news of today, yesterday, and tomorrow. Thank you for listening.
All right, this clip is going down in the history books. Speaker of the House Mike Johnson and one of Trump's closest stooges just got wrecked by Jake Tapper live on. This reads, Jake Tapper just took Mike Johnson to the woodshed after Johnson tries to claim that Trump never said he would use the military on U.S. citizens. Tapper plays the clip, corrects him, and then concludes the interview with, quote, "It's like you were answering questions from a completely different interviewer." Here is the entire segment of Speaker of the House Mike Johnson on CNN. It already has 6,000 likes. Without further ado, let's jump in. All that I ask from you is to leave a like on the video, make sure you drop some blue hearts, and let's break down Mike Johnson floundering live on CNN.
Donald Trump repeatedly referred to prominent Democrats and others on the left in the United States, American citizens, as, quote, the enemy from within, unquote, and he suggested as president he would want to use the National Guard or military against them. Let me play some of that for our viewers.
Boom.
The bigger problem are the people from within. We have some very bad people. We have some sick people, radical left lunatics. And I think they're and it should be very easily handled by, if necessary, by National Guard, or if really necessary, by the military, because they can't let that happen.
He clearly says right there, we have some very sick radical left lunatics, and they need to be handled by the National Guard, potentially. There is no way to work around that, but Mike Johnson tries to act like that wasn't just said in this clip.
One of the first things you did when you joined Congress was to create the Honor and Civility Caucus. Does wanting to use the military against political opponents, would that pass muster with the Civility Caucus?
That's not... Jake, you know that's not what he's talking about there. What he's talking about is marauding gangs of dangerous, violent people who are destroying public property
he talked about Adam
and
Schiff
threatening
and the Pelosi's.
other American citizens.
He's not talking. I mean, Governor Youngkin tried this with me too. That's not, he was very clear. Let me play, because he was asked about this later on, because Fox always likes to give Donald Trump an opportunity to clean it up, and he always says, no, I said what I meant. Here's what he said when asked about it the next day.
It is the enemy from within, and they're very dangerous. They're Marxists and communists and fascists, and they're sick. I use a guy like Adam Schiff because they made up the Russia hoax. It took 2 years to solve the problem. Absolutely nothing was done wrong, et cetera, et cetera. They're dangerous for our country. We have China, we have Russia, we have all these countries. If you have a smart president, they can all be handled.
This dude just doubled down. He tripled down and threw a bombshell in there. They're Marxists, Democrats, enemies from within. And when he says the enemy from within, keep in mind that is an ever-changing definition that basically means anybody who disagrees with him. He names Adam Schiff by name. So the fact that he's not talking about... All right, this clip is going down in the history books. Speaker of the House Mike Johnson and one of Trump's closest stooges just got wrecked by Jake Tapper live on CNN. This reads, Jake Tapper just took Mike Johnson to the woodshed after Johnson tries to claim that Trump never said he would use the military on U.S. citizens.
I just finished watching an interview of Governor Pritzker of Chicago telling President Trump not to send the military into Chicago after President Trump announced that he could potentially be sending the military to Chicago next after he sent them into Washington, D.C. Which, by the way, after he sent them into Washington, D.C., the crime rate has reportedly exponentially went down. So you have this governor, he was standing on a boat, you guys, taking questions from the press, who was asking him how did he feel about President Trump announcing that he would send the military to Chicago next, potentially. And he's like, well, we'll take it up legally. We'll take them up in courts, because you know that's how the Democrats always operate. Whether it's illegal immigration or anything, they gonna go to court. They don't do nothing else. They gonna go to court, okay? Because they got they bought and paid for attorneys and judges doing the bidding for them. At any rate, this dude is on a boat saying how safe it is in Chicago, and we, as you can see, don't have any problems. It's safe. I just walked down the street to dinner with my wife. And he's taking an interview on the boat, and he's taking an interview downtown in Chicago. Why didn't you have that interview on the South Side, sir? Okay? Why don't you go to the South Side and have that interview so we can really see the streets of Chicago and how things are going on in Chicago? Because for years it's been reported that Chicago has had one of the highest murder rates. Okay? Black on black crimes for the party that loves to promote Black Lives Matter. We didn't hardly hear anything about all of those killings that were reportedly happening in Chicago weekend after weekend. But don't let it be a white cop on the black guy, because we gonna hear that nonstop. Because y'all love to run that division, because that's how y'all keep us going against each other and staying in power. But now that's coming to an end. It's just, out at downtown Dallas and on a boat taking questions talking about Chicago is safe. When we know that it was nicknamed Chirac for a reason. Because it was like a war zone. And like President Trump said, there should not be any inner city in this country that looks like a war zone. Y'all don't have no problem taking billions and billions of dollars overseas under the guise of humanitarian aid, but you can't even do nothing for your own darn cities. And then when you have a man that's stepping up, trying to get the crime rate under control, trying to close the borders, trying to do more for the citizens of the country, all of a sudden, all y'all can do is go to court. Man, y'all, the hypocrisy is off the charts.
They're going to come with us.
America cannot tell the truth about herself. If the history of this country were written, you would have to say that this country is a nation of thieves. It began by stealing this country from the red man. If I said to you that Christopher Columbus discovered America in 1492, you would say that's correct. But now here come this honky from Spain. There are already non-white people here, and they're not existing until he comes and discovers them. Ain't that all their heroes have been white. They make you bow down to George Washington as your hero. Did they ever tell you that honky owned slaves? Did he ever tell you that? Yeah. Not only did he own slaves, he sold a black woman for a barrel of molasses, and he's supposed to be our hero. Our hero.
Well, good morning, guys. Happy Tuesday. I'm a little perplexed this morning. I've been seeing videos of MAGAs or ex-MAGAs. I guess they're ex-MAGA now. And it's been a lot of upset and crying and people who are just really spazzing out. They're having issues with things like, groceries didn't go down, which we told them it wouldn't. They're spazzing out because they're losing their Medicaid benefits. And they're on here going in, guys. The snotting, the tears, and some of them are so irate they're screaming like they're having some type of psychotic break. And I'm just so perplexed. These people just months ago were doing somersaults and flips over the fact this man got into the office. They were all over social media partying and and take that libs, and just a few months later the change is just mind-boggling. What did you expect when this entity got into this position? He told y'all everything he was going to do, and everything that he was saying was detrimental to your well-being. But you guys thought it was going to be applying to everybody but you. And now that it has rested on your doorstep, you're having a totally different reaction. And the really ironic and mind-boggling part of all this is you want sympathy and empathy from people that you intended for this to happen to. What a difference a few days make, huh? I guess riding high and all that, feeling of hype and like you done the damn thing. I guess it disappeared when y'all kept going to those grocery stores and those prices kept going up. Now that you see that the housing is not going to be, it's not going down anytime soon, so you still can't get any housing. Now they're talking about, cutting your Medicaids and your Medicare, and the vets benefits are gone, and they're cutting off your SNAP benefits and housing assistance. And as quiet as it kept, it's more on those social programs than quiet as it's kept. They always loving to put the black face on welfare and housing assistance and stuff. But quiet as it's kept, especially in the rural communities, that's how they made it for generations. Yeah, that's how they made it for generations. And we know who's in the rural communities. Yes, we do. But y'all seem to think that none of this was going to be affecting you, and that y'all were so in such a celebration stage. All y'all cared about was that there was a W. And because y'all treat this like it's some type of game, some type of football game, where the ramifications are nothing other than you win, I lose, one side feel good, one side feel bad. That's not the case with this, baby. No. There are repercussions for this W y'all got. And now that you're experiencing the repercussions, you're coming out like, you were just so outdone that this could happen to you. Which is just so mind-boggling, because everybody knew what was going to happen. The person that was going to go in there and fight the price gouging, the person that was going to fight the price gouging, the person that was going to go in there and bring lawsuits against these corporations who've taken over all of these family homes and raise the price on them to you can't even afford an apartment nowadays. The person that came in that had a plan, that was going to come in with a plan to combat all that, to give us, the working class, a fighting chance of survival, so we wouldn't have to be on social media spazzing out because we can't afford to feed our groceries. We can't afford to feed our children anymore because groceries is high as if you're going to get a 4-carat diamond, and you're spazzing out because you cannot, some people utilities are going up because they cut the program that was giving assistance in your utilities. All of this, there was a person that was going to rectify and give the working class a fighting chance. But y'all said y'all didn't want her in there. And that some of you went so far as that you was going to do everything within your power to make sure she never wins. Okay, well, what are you going to do? What are you going to do with your powers now? What are you going to do with your powers now? Do you have that same intense mindset to use your powers to solve all these problems that y'all guys have urged in on us? Are you going to use your powers for that? How is that coming? Because you were gung-ho. I mean, you were so gung-ho to make sure that the woman that was running would never, ever see the light of day in this position. But I don't think you guys thought past that shallow victory. And now, because you didn't think past that shallow victory, when the repercussions are smacking y'all asses upside the head so hard till you feel like your brain is rattling in there like a little old bitty ping pong ball on a ping pong machine, now it's suddenly sinking in that maybe, possibly, somehow, y'all screwed up. Well, that's neither here nor there right now. The fact of the matter is, we're in the crapper. Thanks to you, we're in the crapper. And y'all coming out now crying about it, what you can't afford and how hard it is, and you can't make it, you just don't even want to be here anymore. Yeah, people like to tell me they don't even want to be here anymore because it's just too freaking hard. well, if that's your solution, there's nothing I can do about it. But my thing is, it didn't take all this. It really didn't. We did not have to go this far. We did not have to actually live these days to believe these days were going to come with certain people in office. We didn't feel like we had to live it in order to get it. But evidently y'all did. So now all I have to say to you is live in it. Survive the best way you can. If you can't handle it and you need to check out, may God have mercy on your soul. That's about all I can do for you. Because there's no way we should stand in the way of people learning lessons that they need to learn. This is a hard lesson that some of y'all need to learn, and a lot of us are going to get dragged along with it. Okay, we accept that, but you're going to learn your lesson today. Oh, you're going to learn today? Yeah. So, whatever it is you feel like you have to do, handle your business. But just know, whatever it is, at the end of the day, be sure to put the credit and the accountability where it should be, and that's on you. Because you went out here and you ushered this season in upon us with your selfish, detrimental, uneducated, biased vote. So, who am I to stand in the way of people learning life lessons? Who am I to stand in the way of people reaping what they sow? Who am I? That's not my role. So I will stand back and I will watch. And I will let what has to play out. And we will get through this as we always have, the black community, the best way we know how. We've been at this door before.
Every election cycle, every fucking election cycle, these nasty ass Texas Republicans pull some kind of stunt and put those kids' votes at Prairie View A&M, put their votes in jeopardy every fucking election cycle. And every election cycle, these Texas Democrats are unprepared and want to act surprised. Fuck out of here. If we are going to ask the state of California to redraw their fucking lines to save our asses, at the very least, we need to show some fucking gratitude and have some real goddamn conversations down here in Texas about what the Texas Democratic Party is doing to disenfranchise their own voters. You see, Republicans, with their gerrymandering, yeah, they're going to disenfranchise and suppress. But how in the fuck do you Texas Democrats have the fucking balls to expect black people to vote for fucking racist? To expect brown people to vote for fucking racist? You have got to be out of your goddamn mind. Black people tell you that we don't feel safe with these goddamn cops. So what do you motherfuckers do? You Texas Democrats run a goddamn cop for governor. Make that shit make sense. We're down here fighting for public education, doing our fucking level best to keep these goddamn charter schools from eating up our goddamn communities, which leads to stealing our fucking land, moving us out of our goddamn communities, the whole nasty ass cascade. What do y'all do? Y'all run a 2-time white boy loser and his wife has got a whole goddamn charter school. You've got to be fucking out of your mind. Y'all gonna stop playing in our goddamn faces. We already told you. We're not voting for no fucking diet racist European American man. You ran his ass anyway. And here we are. Here we fucking are. Hear me when I say this. I'm not voting for no goddamn farmer. when we've got all of these black and brown, highly fucking qualified and educated individuals in this state who are worthy of being our governor and will do a damn good job. Try to run that fucking farmer if you want to. Yeah. We are not playing. We're asking this country to bend over fucking backwards so you can keep doing the same racist bullshit. No ma'am, no sir, Texas Democratic Party. Get your fucking reckoning. It's here, right now. And you have let us lose so goddamn much. It ain't nothing else for them to take from us. Now the motherfuckers are taking it from you. And I bet that's hard to believe, seeing as how you're going to show up and eat Thanksgiving dinner with the motherfuckers anyway. Listen to me now, because you didn't listen to me then. We ain't voting for no white boy farmer. You can run him if you want to. You already know what's going to happen.
Black folks, y'all ever wonder how come the hood even exists? Y'all ever wonder how come, as they say, so-called ghettos exist, the projects exist? Have y'all ever wondered that? Let me break it down. See, public housing, it was originally built for poor white folks first, not black families. See, in 1934, the government dropped the FHA, the biggest wealth building machine in the U.S. history. But here's the scam. FHA loans were handed out to white families so they could escape the projects, the ghettos, and the hood and move to the suburbs. Black folks, red line, denied. Y'all get it? FHA was never designed for black folks. That's what I'm trying to say. So while America was getting government subsidized homes, building equities, stacking generational wealth, Black America was boxed into the so-called ghettos, the projects, and the hoods that the white folks originally stayed in and they later abandoned because of FHA. And while that was happening, the government ran an urban renewal, which really meant black removal. Y'all dig what I'm saying? I'm trying to say it in, where it's really easy to understand. See, they bulldozed black homes, black businesses, black neighborhoods, and they shoved our people into the very same housing projects that the white folks left. That's not an accident. That was the blueprint from the jump, y'all. It's always about pushing us somewhere else. See, the hood wasn't born out of failure. It was engineered by policy, yet again. The white middle class, y'all, built by the government. That's the first and foremost. It was never a white middle class until the government stepped in and made them a middle class. Black poverty also was built by the government. Now, if you ask yourself, who really got the handouts? Think about it. It was white folks. Black folks, we ain't never had no handouts. We've always had to pull up from our bootstraps, from the leftovers. Some like the leftovers in slavery, and we made the best out of it. I'm Dr. O, y'all, and I'm out.
Yeah, I just read that the president said he had ended 6 wars. Okay, well, I've been Googling and I haven't been able to find them. Must have been asleep when that happened. Can anybody help me out? What 6 wars did he end? Please let me know, because I do like to stay abreast of current events. Thank you so much.
Black people, listen to me. And for those of you who are white, you just sit this one out and listen to what our complaints are in this country. Just listen, take a listen. Black folks, this, what Donald Trump is doing and the Republicans are doing, is not about fighting crime. It's about fighting blackness, black awareness, being woke, which defines being aware. It means being aware of your surroundings, being aware of the mistreatment of a race of people who helped build this country free. They're trying to dismantle history, rewrite or whitewash history. They're trying to become a dictator country. In a dictator country, the final nail in the coffin, listen to me, can only be accomplished by disarming its citizens. Second Amendment right. That is coming. They have started to systematically attack black. Everything that's black in this country, black owned, black governed, black managed, is now being called being woke or DEI. All a part of their racist agenda. You see, a couple months ago, now quiet, they were rounding up illegal aliens. They call them criminals, right? They were displaying this type of behavior, rounding them up, beating them, kicking them, doing all kind of degrading, dehumanizing things to these people. These are people that came to this country for a better way of life. What they're not telling you is this. They're not deporting white folks. There are a lot of immigrants, illegal white immigrants in this country, starting with Russia, Europeans, Italians, Jews. Many of them are here in this country being untouched because of their skin color. I had the privilege to watch 40 Acres yesterday. And that movie sends shivers down my spine, realizing that if this was to happen, how fucked we will be as a race of people, black folks. Listen to me. You're spending money right now on weave, hair care products, clothes, trying to be somebody that you're not, designer clothing. When I guarantee you, and I guarantee you, you don't have a weapon in your house. You don't have a stockpile of ammunition. You have no means or no way to protect yourself. Twerking is not working when they come to you with what they have. I go to gun shows here in Florida every single month. And the people there are predominantly white folks. And when I tell you, listen to me, they are stocking up on ammunition by the caseload of ammunition. They are buying some of the most powerful weapons that they can sell, allowed to sell at those shows. They're stocking up. While we're partying on the weekends, drinking on the weekend, killing each other on the weekend, dancing, shucking and jiving, like we're free. Like we're free people. Like slavery is over, it's behind me. I'm not a slave. Listen, black folks, listen to me. They're coming for us. And it's not going to be an easy pill to swallow. Donald Trump is now positioning himself with the military in black cities, not white cities, mind you, black cities, stating that crime is out of control. That way, if we organize any kind of uprising, he's going to unalive us, a lot of us. And then he's going to use those images to rile up his base. And they're going to want more, like the Roman gladiators. Remember back in the gladiator days and Roman days when they had the Colosseum and they were killing and gouging people? The crowd was cheering and crying, more, 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 more. That is what's going to happen. They know how to do optics. You see, to brainwash an individual, first of all, he has to be uneducated. Easy to do that. He has to be a racist. That's easy to do. He has to have a mentality of a child. You speak to him in a childlike manner, and he understands you. Black folks, if you didn't listen to anything I said in this video, go get your tools and get lots of them and be prepared. It's better to be prepared, right, for what happens versus not being prepared if it happens. You guys have a nice day.
Today is July 4th, Independence Day. the day America declared freedom from a monarchy. They said we will not be ruled by a king. They said no taxation without representation. They drafted a constitution, built checks and balances, and created a system meant to avoid the tyranny they escaped. But here we are, 2025, and the irony is heavy. Because on the very day we're supposed to be celebrating independence, we are once again under a regime. Not one led by a king in a crown, but by a man backed by tech titans, corporate donors, and billionaires with no allegiance to the people. Independence has been undone. And it didn't take a war this time. It just took silence, compromise, and a little bill they passed when we weren't looking. The big Babylonian bill. Now, let's be clear. When I say founding fathers, I say it loosely because black people weren't included in the original vision of America. When they wrote the Declaration of Independence, they were still holding black people in chains. When they screamed freedom, they weren't screaming for us. So I say this not to glorify them, but to expose the hypocrisy. They declared independence from a dictator only to build a nation that enslaved others. And now, today, in 2025, we've come full circle back under authoritarian rule. Only this time, the chains are digital. The silence is systematic. And the faces behind it, Elon Musk, Project 2025, and corporate America. The big Babylonian bill passed quietly, no fireworks, no grand debate, because it was designed that way, to slide in as policy and come out as power. Here's what it did almost immediately. It dismantled judicial oversight, crippling the courts. It gave expanded deportation powers to ICE with no due process. It criminalized public protests under new civil disturbance language. It directed funding from public services to private contractors. It gave billionaires immunity. It weakened voting rights enforcement. It stripped protection from whistleblowers. It defunded, climate protection and reinstated oil contracts. It removed civilian review boards from federal policing, and it created a framework where dissent equals treason. This bill didn't just pass. It rewired the system. And when the judicial branch lost its independence, the executive became a throne. And guess who's sitting comfortably behind the curtain? He didn't run for office. He didn't win a single vote. But Elon Musk still managed to hand over the White House, not out of love for this country, but out of love for his own freedom. Because all Elon Musk ever wanted was power, without consequences. He feared accountability. So he brokered deals behind the scenes and helped install a puppet while protecting the real plays. While America was distracted by Trump's chaos, Elon Musk was rewriting the rules. He bought Twitter, now X, and turned it into a pipeline for misinformation. He dismantled safety teams, then claimed to be defending free speech. He amplified far-right voices, conspiracy theories, and propaganda. He met with Project 2025 architects behind closed doors. He lobbied Congress to deregulate tech industries. He secured military contracts through SpaceX and Starlink. He made himself indispensable not to the people, but to the regime. And here's the truth. You don't need to be president to destroy a democracy. You just need control over the narrative. You just need billions in silence. Let's be clear about what Project 2025 is. It's not a theory. It's a blueprint for dismantling the administrative state, removing career civil servants, centralizing executive power, eliminating oversight, and privatizing the republic into corporate fragments. Together, Elon Musk and Project 2025 partner with corrupted branches of power to give Trump the appearance of control. But the real authors of this nightmare wear suits, sit on boards, and own media. This isn't a presidency. It's a performance. And the script was written by billionaires who don't want to be governed. They want to govern. So let's talk about what's been dismantled, not in theory, but in practice. The courts no longer have power. The Senate votes under threat. The media is splintered. Civil liberties are suspended under emergency clauses. And this right here, is what the Founding Fathers feared. They created 3 branches of government to prevent tyranny. But when one branch is corrupted and the other is complicit, all it takes is a signature and the entire tree collapses. It took them years to build a constitution. It took this regime 7 months to gut it. So here we are, on July 4th, not waving flags, but waving warnings. Because independence is not a firework. It's a fight. And that fight has been lost. For now. And to those who orchestrated this collapse, Elon Musk, the Project 2025 think tanks, every politician who voted yes on that bill, every corporate board that stayed silent, this is your legacy. You didn't just sell out a country. You sold out the future. So when people scroll through X, buy a Tesla, watch a rocket launch, or quote Musk like he's some genius, let them remember, this is the man who helped hand over America to authoritarianism just to keep himself free. This is the man who traded millions of people's freedom for his own ability to operate without consequences. And to his children, to the next generation of the Musk dynasty, no violence, no threats, just truth. Your father helped destroy what millions died to protect. Let history remind you every time his name is mentioned, not because of how rich he became, but because of how poor he left the rest of us. So on this day, July 4th, ask yourself, what are we celebrating? Because if independence means anything, then silence is complicity, and remembrance is resistance. This isn't just a TED Talk. This is a record. This is the story they'll try to erase. But not today. Not on July 4th. Not while we still remember what freedom was supposed to be. They are not revamping the Constitution. They are repackaging slavery. When I recently said that, I expected debate. What I didn't expect was the arrogance. People in my comments acting like this was a reach, like we are paranoid or weak. And maybe that's because somewhere in the message, they thought we were folding. But let me be very clear. We're not folding. We've never folded. Not in 400 years. What's happening right now may be upsetting. It may even be disappointing. But it is not new. And it is not frightening in the way they think. Because for many of us, black people and people of color, we already know what time it is. Even if we don't say it aloud. Even if we don't gather in secret meetings. Even if we are quiet, we know what we are prepared to do. And no law, no policy, no bill passed in the dead of night will change that. The Constitution of the United States was not written with us in mind. It was built on the foundation of white supremacy, by men who owned slaves, by men who wrote freedom into law while keeping human beings in chains. Sure, amendments came later, the 13th, the 14th, the 15th, but every one of those came with loopholes, came with conditions, came with systems in place to keep us locked out.
Of course, now you have Chicago politicians bragging, talking about, no, the crime is down. The crime is down. Maybe by fucking Whole Foods where you shop, but not in the south side of Chicago, where people are still ducking and dodging bullets and can't even check their goddamn mail. This is what I was saying 2 weeks ago when I said these democratic cities invest in crime. And every liberal in my comment section was like, you said the wrong word. You said the method. You said the method. You said the method. It's not a method. They're investing in crime. There's no progress. They want the crime to fucking continue. That's obvious. Talking about you're investing positively in the communities. You're investing in fucking excuses. You have communities like Westside where there's people who are purposely going out asking for help. Asking for help. Trump said the other day, there's a beautiful African-American woman coming to me, asking me like, hey, can you please come help us in Chicago? We need help. Crime is at an all-time high. Please help us. Governor's like, oh, no, we're okay. The mayor's like, don't send help. How dare you? We don't need no help. Let the crime continue. Let the crime continue. The gaslighting is at an all-time high. You are willing to put your community at risk because you hate Trump that fucking bad. No, what's going to happen is he's going to call out your fucking mismanagement. He's going to call out your fucking bullshit. He's going to call out your corruption. That's what he's doing. These democratic cities think this is some type of game. Every time a criminal is in jail, they're like, oh, you're fucking racist. Every time the National Guard comes in to fucking sweep the shit up, oh, that's illegal. Yet and still, you got the community out here, please, please help us. We need help. We want to live. We're tired of dodging fucking bullets. Trying to bamboozle the public. We know the truth. The communities are speaking for themselves. We couldn't care less what's on the goddamn paper. You democratic cities are trash, and you continuously invest in fucking crime.
Trump has the D.C. National Guard picking up trash, i.e. Operation Clean Up D.C. I get it. When you serve in the military, if someone fucks up royally, everyone's going to get put on work detail. This is what we call in the military work detail. But that's not what their mission is, right? As per Donald J. Trump, the mission of the National Guard was to get rid of homeless people and make D.C. safe again. Since that isn't spanning out the way that they want it to span out, now they have them picking up trash. You cannot make this shit up. Literally, they're all out there cleaning up fucking trash. And just to give you a heads up, that's the exact location in which combat veteran Jay Carey was arrested for burning the American flag, in which he was given a citation and released. This is what happens when you don't have a plan, when you just want to show force with no backup plan. These guardsmen don't need to be there. It's a waste of their time. They should be training, and all they're doing is walking around the streets, now armed, not doing anything, taking photo ops with the citizens of the United States and the residents of D.C. And now, to add more insult to injury, he's making them pick up trash in front of his White House, not the people's White House, because this man has desecrated the White House as we speak. This is what the Oval Office looks right now, wasting our taxpayer dollars to goldenify it. And let me remind you, a lot of these guardsmen aren't even getting paid as we speak. Why? Because they have to be put on Title X orders, and that usually takes a bit of time. We saw that with the Los Angeles National Guardsmen. I have a better idea. How about if all of those homeless people that he's trying to round up, why doesn't he take them and have them clean up the city and get paid for it? Huh, Donnie? Employ those that do not have employment and let the National Guard go back to their training. Trump.
This really bothered me.
Cannot tie imperialism and racism and slavery to just one race, which is pretty much what every single exhibit does.
And look, it's not like we don't hear this kind of drivel on a daily basis from the far right corners of the media landscape, but
this is CNN.
Yeah, this was said on a major news network that's supposed to be fairly centrist. I mean, the network started doing damage control pretty quickly.
That was nuts, what she was saying, in my opinion.
It was wild. Look, everybody was shocked.
Now, I don't know if you've noticed it, but there's this weird phenomenon that seems to be happening right now in our culture. There's something called an Overton window, and my impression is that it's started to shift pretty significantly in recent years. Now, technically, it doesn't move left or right, it goes up and down, but that's really just semantics. The Overton window, in my estimation, has clearly started to move rightward. And that concerns me very much, especially when I hear someone try to downplay chattel slavery on a major news network. The concept of the Overton window is this. There are a set of ideas and values that are considered normal within any culture. Now, that looked different in the 50s than it does today, but within any generation there are these conventions and norms that sort of frame public discourse, and they exist within a window of sorts. Move outside of that window and you're getting outside of what would be considered moral or acceptable in terms of attitudes and beliefs. Now, I've been around long enough to see leftward or rightward movement in the Overton window, depending on who was president and how much impact they had on the culture. Again, they don't like that left-right paradigm, but just go with me here. For instance, when Obama became president, suddenly all the news networks were scrambling to hire black reporters and hosts. TV shows and movies suddenly started diversifying beyond the one token black character. But I also saw this happen in the reverse during Trump's first term, like when Megyn Kelly was hired away from Fox News by NBC. Somehow they thought they could bring this conservative firebrand to mainstream daytime TV away from the Fox News cocoon where she'd been shielded all those years, and they could, I don't know, normalize stuff like this.
She made her skin look darker than it really is, and people said that that was racist. But what is racist? Because truly, you do get in trouble if you are a white person who puts on blackface on Halloween, or a black person who puts on whiteface for Halloween. Like, back when I was a kid, that was okay as long as you were dressing up as like a character.
Well, that backfired pretty quickly.
I'm Megyn Kelly, and I want to begin with two words:
I'm sorry.
But it looks like it's happening all over again. Recently, Biggest Loser Jillian Michaels appeared on the Roundtable show Newsnight with Abby Phillip. I guess the point of the show is to have a diversity of voices speaking, so they invited Jillian, who's becoming a lot more prominent in right-wing circles, to be a part of the panel that day. And then, predictably, this happened.
Less than 2% of white Americans own slaves.
Jillian, I'm surprised that you're trying to litigate who was the beneficiary of slavery and
I'm not.
Now, that was bad enough, but then she went to a conservative women's conference in Florida trying to clear it up and dug yet another hole.
Essentially, I guess, made some sort of assumption that I was trying to defend slavery. I'm not quite sure where they got that impression. We constantly talk about white supremacy, but we look the other way with black degeneracy. It begets white hostility that then validates and begets white degeneracy. And it's this impossible cycle.
Black degeneracy? Really? As if your president and half his cabinet aren't degenerates. But okay, I digress. Keeping track of this cultural shift as well as how the media is covering it is really important to me. My day job is as a news director for a radio station, so that raises the incentive structure for me as well. So with the Jillian Michaels debacle, I went to the Ground News app to get an idea of exactly how this story was playing out in the media. It's actually getting equal coverage on both the right and the left, but as you can see here, the framing looks quite different when you go to a source that Ground News has identified as having mixed factuality. This source happens to be right-leaning. FYI, you can subscribe to Ground News at the link in my bio. If you do it that way, you can get 40% off the Vantage subscription, which allows you unlimited access. The really cool thing here is that they don't pretend that there's no such thing as bias. Left-leaning sources are identified as such, but the factuality is what I'm most concerned about. And right here, there's a full breakdown of all the outlets that are covering this story and where they fall on the factuality spectrum. I can even see who owns these outlets. It's an invaluable resource if you're interested in getting a 360-degree view of where your news is coming from and how it's being framed. Visit groundnews.com/Dara or comment Ground, and I'll send you a link to see if you'd like to subscribe. So is the Overton window shifting in the way that I'm perceiving it is? Well, I haven't quite decided yet, but Ground News is one of the essential tools that I'm using right now to figure that out. Again, I'm highly encouraging you to take advantage of that 40% off subscription rate at the link in my bio. Visit groundnews.com/Dara. I'm always on the lookout for tools that help me understand how our news is being disseminated and that help me to keep my bias in check. If that Overton window does begin to shift, you better believe I'll have my eyes on it.
There was one person who predicted all of this, and people said she was lying, or that she had Trump derangement syndrome, that she did not know what she was talking about. But it has all come to pass that she was exactly right.
Donald Trump intends to use the United States military against American citizens who simply disagree with him. People he calls, quote, the enemy from within. America, this is not a candidate for president who is thinking about how to make your life better. This is someone who is unstable, obsessed with revenge, consumed with grievance, and out for unchecked power.
And she was 100% right. But she's a woman, she's black. Can't have that.
You are listening to the Citizen Journalists Network, a presentation of SDC News. 1. Thank each and every one of you for your contributions to uplift our voices. The news of today, yesterday, and tomorrow. Thank you for listening.